what a deal, what a deal. Hey guys, it's Jax, and I've got a problem. Come on, baby. here's the girl. I did my fuel mileage. I drove 62 miles an hour yesterday coming over. A little bit about this truck. It's a 1999 International cabover. 9800 is the model. And I bought it not because it's a cool cabover, it's a unique cabover. It's not one that you look at and go, that thing is bad to the bone. It's one that you look at and go, that is one of the craziest things I've seen. So they did what exactly? And I'll show you. I'm not going to show you now because it's a little bit of a mess in here from me getting everything moved in a hurry and getting inspected just now. But anyway, this truck has a lot of really cool attributes that I'll share with you throughout the course of this episode. But the root of this truck is that it's the last year that International, I believe, some of you truck super officials may challenge me on that, but I think 99 was the last year in the US that International made trucks. So one of the last ones you could possibly get a hold of. It's a one owner, bought it from the original owner. Crazy, right? And it has a red top Cummins N14. Which means that we can go down to St. George and visit my buddy Jared down there at PDI and do some fun things with this truck to make it into kind of a sleeper. By sleeper, I mean a truck that you look at it and kind of get the giggles because you're like, what is that thing? But that same truck can be putting some unbelievable horsepower to the ground. The wheelbase on this truck, as you've seen from the pictures, is like 6 inches long. It's so short. Cool thing about short wheelbase trucks is they lose no power from the engine to the back wheels. I mean, they lose a little bit, but not much. Nothing like the big long trucks. Those big long trucks lose like lots of horsepower, like probably 100, 125 horsepower. It just depends how long your truck is. The longer it is and the more U-joints that there are on the driveline, the less power you lose, or the less power you have, rather. So anyway, a little bit about this truck, but I drove it 62 miles an hour. It settles in 12th gear, so to speak. It's a 13 speed, and in 12th gear you can do 62 miles an hour, just a tick under 1600 RPMs, okay? And that's about 62 miles an hour. I drove that all night long, or not all night, but in my hours I ran yesterday, sorry. And I got 9.4 miles to the gallon, and I was empty, just pulling an empty flatbed, but I got 9.4 mpg. So now I've got a load on going through these Wyoming hills, but I'm trying to drive responsibly, and that's part of why I bought this truck. It was the truck that if you wanted to be in a cabover and you wanted to still make some money and have an efficient truck, they made this truck. It's aerodynamic, it's comfortable, it's very smooth despite how short it is, and it's supposed to make some serious fuel mileage. So I don't know, we'll see. I know what I got with my Detroit and my Cascadia, pulling these toilet loads across here, and it's actually not super great because they're not very aerodynamic. The load isn't, so it drags a lot. But anyway, in the I'll tell you more about that when I fuel up, and we'll see what this thing does. But empty, I got 9.4, which is really high for an old truck, so it's really good. Anyways, that's a little bit about this truck. I'll try to keep you filled in as we go, and just remember, I've been in trouble with the law. I've been all over. I'm tired, but I'm here for you. Yep. I'll tell you one thing that's proving to be kind of interesting about this truck. It has got to be the fastest feeling 70 mile an hour truck that I've ever driven. Like, I don't know if it comes through on the video, but I'm coming down into Casper, Wyoming, doing 70 at 1500 RPMs, and I feel like I'm doing about 85. And I've checked, I mean, the speedometer's correct, it's all dialed in. But I think it's because you're sitting right out here in the front, even more so than a classic cabover. Like my Pete, it just, I don't know, you don't feel like you're quite out on the tip of the spear, so to speak. This truck, as you noticed, has that front axle is set back. I'm actually sitting in front of the axle, so I'm literally as far to the front as you can be. And granted, all cabovers are, but it's hard to explain without just experiencing it. But this, like, I can drive 62 and feel like I'm doing 70 in the Cascadia. You know, 70 in the Cascadia feels like 60, and this is vice versa. 60 in this feels like what 70 did in the Cascadia. And obviously it's all the same, but it's just, the difference in perspective of where you're seated and where you're sitting. But I think I may have mentioned this briefly early in the video, but now that I've been driving this truck for several days and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles, I have to say that I think my favorite feature of this truck, especially with the current fuel pricing, is that, you can do 60, 58, 61, whatever miles an hour, and it just still feels like you're scooting right along. I mean, I'm going slow right now, so slow. Look, getting my doors blown off, see that? But I don't feel like I'm going slow. I don't sit in here and be like, oh, this is the longest day ever. I don't feel that way at all. I put my cruise on here. It's been great with this load of trailers, you know. They're catching quite a bit of wind, but they're not super heavy, so it kind of balances itself out. But I'm just look, 60 mile an hour and just rolling. Now I got the freedom to speed up, right? Because of no speed limiters right now. If I need to get boogieing, I can get boogieing. If there's a big storm coming around the bend, big snowstorm coming, I can get around it, put the hammer down, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I'd forgotten. I remember now that Rooster's truck felt this way. You know, driving it when I was a young feller. But it's good.